I am Cheryl Whiting-Kish. I am the Chief People Officer of HOA Brands, and I am the founder and president of Define Consulting. I'm very connected to that brand. I wore the orange shorts. I was an operations leader. I was the first female vice president within that brand. And so I rejoined the brand in 2019 to come back in and specifically work on some people initiatives, which I have done for the last 5 years. Over the years, we knew internally how special it was. There's quite a history of, from the CEO who started as a dishwasher and is now the CEO, to our COO who started as a very young manager in training, to the vice president of operations who started as a cook, and even myself, I wore the orange shorts at one time. So there's been this platform provided for growth and autonomy and honing skills. And it's a culture of fun, and it's a culture of serving. I've always insisted that the role of learning and development have a seat at the table. There's no other place for L&D but to have a seat at the table. L&D is about creating the beliefs and the behaviors that's going to drive the team members to produce. We always come with this motto: what you learn here, you take everywhere. And so I think about the skills that are going to help people within whichever brand or organization they're working, and then beyond that brand. So whether that's communication skills, the skills that across industry are going to be really, really important, especially when you're working with young people in the hospitality or the retail industry. It might be their very first job. So being very mindful and cognizant of how are we going to help these individuals, knowing they're not going to be here perhaps forever, to look back and go, I'm all the better because I worked for this organization. You want a seat at the table, then you better come to the table with some data and with some results. You know, almost 80 learning level demonstrations, train the trainer, the technology that we put into play with our LMS, with Schoox, the KPIs that we identified up front. All of that has paid off. Over 700 new managers have gone through that program. We continue to have an 83 Net Promoter Score, which is world class. So the experience of the learning is what's going to drive the retention and the skills and the competencies. So we created that experience, and we see turnover come down within that population that has entered that program. Now we also look at how are we impacting business results, whether that's per person average because of attending a certain program and successfully completing it. There's many different ways that we can measure it, but that's one way we know that the experience is what we hoped it would be. Of course, AI. How is AI going to impact the learning and development space? We also have to, I'm big on experience, and so keeping up with what does that employee experience need to be? I pride myself on the team and a very successful team that I built. I knew that I needed folks to surround me that came from even a different generation than I did, so that we can be thinking about what does the generation of today need. So the employee experience, the changing demographic, the globalization, remote work, right? And what does that mean from not just a cultural perspective, but from a skills building perspective as well? So that's what's on the forefront, I think.